Hey guys, my name is Patty, and my husband and I have decided to have our house built with KB Homes. We are first-time home buyers and we are excited but nervous because there's not a lot of people online that share positive experiences with KB. And there's really not a lot of videos showing the process. So I decided that I would document our experience and hopefully it helps you make your decision on whether you think KB is right for you, or maybe to ease your concerns that you have after you've already applied and signed the contract. So currently, about a month ago now, we went to KB, into the neighborhood that they're building. We looked at the model homes. We set up an appointment to come back to sign the paperwork. During that appointment, that's when they take all your information and you fill out the application and you give them all the things they need, the pay stubs, the bank statements, all that good stuff. And then you need to put down your deposit at that time as well. For us, we're in Northern California. It was $5,000. So we did all that good stuff, and then she asked like structural questions, and at that time we made our decisions, like if we wanted to go with the 9-foot ceilings instead of the 8-foot, and just various things like that. Do we want a bigger concrete slab in the back or not? Do we want to do this or that? Like, or are there any structural changes that we want to make? Because they need to know that at that point and not later. So we did decide to go with the 9-foot ceilings because it makes the house look bigger. One thing she said that was helpful was, and I recommend this to you, the plan that we chose, they didn't have a model built of in the neighborhood, but one city up, about 20 miles away, they had a model of that plan. So if you want to go check out a model, that like a particular model that isn't modeled in the neighborhood that you're looking at, just ask them if there's one in the area that you can go check out. And it's worth going to look at in person before you make a decision. Or even afterwards, if you just want to go check it out and get a better idea of maybe some upgrades that you want for your plan, for your house when it's built. So after that, we applied, we gave them the money, and then we had the contract emailed to us to sign over the internet. So we signed it, and then from that point, she wanted DU approval. Let me rewind for a second. We had our own lender, a mortgage broker, and that we had been pre-approved with, and have been in communication with, because before we chose KB, we were looking at other homes. So we were already in a position to purchase a home and had our own broker, and we decided not to go with KB lender because even though they were going to give a credit of, I think it was 5,000 credit, we decided that we just wanted to have a person, someone representing us in case KB was kind of shady. We wanted to make sure that there was an extra set of eyes looking at things, to have our best interest in mind and not just KB's interest. And I also still had my real estate agent that came with me to all of the meetings, which turned out to be incredible. You would think that, you're already purchasing a house and you're no longer looking for a house. Do you really need a real estate agent? And I say absolutely yes. One, my real estate agent went up to see the model when I didn't have time to go, and she took a video of it for me. Two, she's been amazing at being kind of the middleman in between everyone for me. She's been calling the mortgage broker to check things out when we have questions. She was communicating with KB, the sales consultant, when, you know, we kind of felt like she was badgering us a little bit and kind of, I said harassing, but I was being dramatic. She was just trying to get us to go with them for an FHA loan, because she was worried that we wouldn't make our deadline. And so my real estate agent was able to call her and say, look, can you stop calling them and texting them and emailing them? They're working with their broker and they're handling things. So yes to the real estate agent, yes to your own broker, because they've been amazing too. And yeah, KB, I mean, they're trying to make money. They're a business. They're salespeople. And of course, they want you to go with their lender because it's a perk for them too. From what I saw, their interest rates are kind of higher too than what I'm looking at with my broker. I can't 100% back that up right now, but based off of the form that they sent us with their interest rates, for someone that has a perfect credit score, they're higher than what we were quoted with our broker, and we're not there. Our credit is lower than that. So that's why we went with our own broker. But you do have to be pre-approved through KB. That's a requirement, which stinks because yes, it lowers your credit score every time they check. So I spoke with my broker before and they said, here's a letter saying that you don't have to be, you know, that you have already been pre-approved. If you have any questions, you can give us a call. But even with that information, KB said it's a requirement and your application won't be accepted if you don't allow them to do pre-approval. So we had to do that. And of course, after that, they knew all of our information and they were like, we told them that we wanted to do conventional. And I guess that through their system, we weren't approved for conventional in their automated system, their automated approval system. We only qualified for an FHA loan. And we were like, well, we've already been pre-approved for conventional through our broker. So what's going on? And she was like, well, do you want to just go with an FHA with us and then you can change later to a conventional before you close? Because mind you, our home hasn't even began the building process yet. It has not started. That takes 6 months from the time the contract is signed and you go to your design studio appointments and all that. So nothing has been started yet with it. So at the time that the house is built, that's when you go through closing. Right now, it's just the initial purchase agreement and the approval. So because we didn't get clearance through their system for a conventional loan, she requested that our broker get DU approval, and DU approval is due within 30 days of signing the contract. So we had 30 days to do what we needed to do to get DU approval, and to do that, we needed to pay off 3 debts that we had outstanding on, you know, my husband's credit report. And so we paid them, and it was just like difficult because one, we were able to pay right away and that was fine. The second one, the company, the creditor for the company, they were in the middle of switching them. So they didn't have anyone you could pay yet. And so they were like, we'll give you a call within 30 days when we have the new creditor that you can pay. And so we're like, oh my gosh, this could take 30 days just to pay this one. But thankfully, we were able to call back and pay that one. And then the last one we paid, and we were waiting for some sort of, you know, we had to get the letters in the mail showing on the form that we have a zero balance, because those were the supplemental forms that we had to send off to be approved so that we would pass the underwriting, the automated approval in the system. before, instead of having to wait the 30 days for it to fall off your credit report with the forms stating that we paid them, they would be able to, manually go in and change those things so that you are approved. Well, so we're waiting for all of them to come back into the mail. We have 2 out of the 3 now, okay? And then the third one, we don't get anything, and we call them and we say, hey, can you send us something? And they're like, can you send us a 0 balance? And the woman is like, anyways, I'm not going to go into it, but she basically said that, it was going to take until the 20th before you can have something emailed to you, because we have to wait this many days before we're able to send it to you, because 7 days for processing and then 7 days for confirmation to make sure that that the payment actually goes through. And we're like, what do you mean that the payment goes through? It's been a week and the money has been out of our account for a week. I don't think it's coming back. It wasn't like a credit card. It was a debit card. The money is gone. So it just took a long time for us to get our finances in order and to get all of the things that we needed for this DU approval that KB required before they would accept the contract. They wouldn't give us an extension, not even 1 day. We finally got all of our stuff. We got the letter today and I emailed it over to our broker, and she said that it could take up to 7 days. Well, 7 days would be 1 day after our contract expires. So the KB Homes management would not give us an extension. Their response was, come back again when you have DU approval. What does that mean, come back again? Like, no explanation. Like, we have to pry for answers every time we want an answer to something. There's no explanation whenever a statement is made. You have to ask, okay, can you explain? For example, this was the message from the consultant. Hello, management got back to us and they said that they will not give an extension. You had 30 days to get DU approval, so why don't you come back again after you have DU approval? Does this mean that our $5,000 deposit is gone? Does this mean that we have to come back up and do an appointment and do the application and get the pre-approval, which dings our credit again, and then, go through the studio appointment, cancel this appointment and set it up again later? What does that mean? So just like the vagueness, and that's not the first email that was similar to that. There have been like multiple times where we're like, what does that mean? Because when we had the initial appointment, and we were going through everything, she said nothing about getting DU approval. She said nothing. Like, I had no idea what a DU approval would have even entailed. So, that was a new word for me, and we didn't go in expecting to have to pay off all of those debts, which, put us back a little bit. We just weren't expecting to need to pay them, period. And definitely not during the initial purchase agreement, because in our minds, and everyone had said, we won't need anything until, your house is built and we close at that point. So we weren't expecting to need to do the DU approval, and not even knowing what it was when that word was brought up after our appointment. We had no idea. It was kind of just a scramble to get all these things done immediately. And okay, you signed the contract, you have 30 days to get DU approval. What do you mean? Why didn't you tell us this before we started doing anything? So it's just the lack of communication and the lack of feeling like you're in the know. So I had to literally send her an email and say, like, can you give me a timeline of when things are happening and what is needed in what order and how long we have? Because I was just so confused. So definitely go over your contract. There are a lot of papers and a lot of stuff in the contract, but just go over it and don't skip over anything. know exactly what you're getting into and ask questions before you sign it, because you'll be like me otherwise, with your mind like, what the heck? What is going on? I just felt so clueless. And if I would have read the contract, it would have all been in there probably. I think most of my questions would have been in there, but I guess I just expected her to be up front and just be more clear on everything. So that's where we're at. Okay, so what we had to do, they didn't give us an extension, but since we were able to get DU approval if we went with an FHA loan, then we just decided, okay, we'll do that. And we made sure that doesn't mean that we're going to be locked into an FHA loan, but it means that for now we've satisfied KB's minimum requirements as far as getting the DU approval. And when we go to close, we are going to apply for conventional, but for, I guess, the pre-approval, we have the DU for an FHA, and then we'll get a DU later for conventional. And at that point, we won't have to worry about the supplemental forms because our credit history will be updated by that point. What happens next? I think that because we have the DU approval now, KB accepts the contract, and in 2 days, we go to our first design studio appointment, and we pick out our whatever we need to pick out and choose any upgrades we want to upgrade. And then we have another appointment. You have 2 design studio appointments. So we do the first one and the second one to make sure that all of our choices are still the choices we want to make. And then after that, the house will begin to be built. Now, I'm going to make a video on the design process, the design studio appointments, and give another update after I go to the first one. And then my hope is that just through the whole process of whatever we end up doing from the time we go to the design studio until we move in, I will keep you guys posted on our journey, and hopefully that helps you. What can I tell you about design studio so far? I can say from what I know now, I haven't been to a design studio yet. Just from little questions that I've asked, I know that standard things that you'll be choosing will be like what cabinet colors you want in the kitchen. You have 2 colored choices for maple cabinets. I don't know what the colors are. For carpet, I think you have a couple choices. And I know that white paint is standard. And I know that, I think that the tile, you have a couple different tile choices or whatever they put down in the wet areas that are included. I think you get to choose what color for those. You might have 2 colors to choose from. And the white tile counters, they call them the subway tiles. They're just white tiles with the white caulking. You have the choice between like the white or I think something called almond. And this is in our area, so I'm just letting you know from what we are choosing what is standard. And then of course carpet throughout is standard except for wet areas. And then yeah, white paint is standard. And so when I do the design studio appointments, I'll let you guys know what we chose and what the prices were to upgrade. I know that upgrading the floors, we have dogs and they pee on everything, so carpet isn't ideal, but they did say that replacing the carpet downstairs with like a wood flooring type floor would be, I think she said, between $7,000 and $9,000. I want to say that the number was closer to $9,000, and that's not in our budget because we already have to buy the solar panels, which are $13,000. So just things like that, I will let you know. And I think that's all for now. good luck on your journey if you're doing the KB way. And hopefully you have an easier time with the loan process or the application process. I heard that this part stinks, not just with KB, but in general. When I tell my family members that I'm buying a home, that's the thing. They're like, oh, good luck. It sucks. And yeah, if this is the experience that everyone has as far as the paperwork and the timelines for things, then yes, it does stink. And it's not just KB, it's just the process in general. So that's that. And I'll catch you in a couple days when I do the design studio appointment. All right, bye.